United States submarine base at Key West, Florida. A dispatch that quoted President Truman's press secretary, Charles Ross, as saying that President Truman has no knowledge of any secret project by this government that would give substance to the existence of such objects. Ross also said that both the Air Force and the Navy deny that such objects exist.
Man, I'm so hungry.
I'm surprised you're hungry after throwing up in the dollar store today.
That was at 8 in the morning.
Yeah, it can ruin a day. I don't know how you're hungry by looking at this. I don't have any right to be this ugly. Look at me.
You look the same.
I got no. Oh, thank you. I have no. Look at. There is no redeeming angle. Sometimes I can like turn in such a way that I have a jawline.
Totally fine. You're so insane. It's incredible.
Oh my God.
You just need the dark lighting like I do, and then no one can see your imperfections.
I don't even know, man. I think I just need to like get my face hit by a car. Is what I need.
No.
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta I gotta come to terms with how ugly I look right now.
You're being ridiculous.
Am I?
Yeah. Promise.
Look at that.
Well, you should know that the first thing, or here we go. Hey, what's up? My name's Noelle. And the first thing my mom said to me when answering my FaceTime was, "Oh, so you got your lips done?" And I don't know. And then I said, "Wow." And then she said, "It looks good." And I think she was lying.
I mean, and I'm Chelsea. They were freshly done when you came over a week ago, and I thought they looked good.
Bro, peace and love. I looked like fucking Janice from the Muppets. I
like that look, though. I like the Kylie Jenner lip.
It was too much. It was so bad. It was so bad because I had just gotten them done and they fully numbed me. Like they gave me shots in my mouth. So I was fully numb, couldn't feel a thing. I went there. I went to my appointment hungover as shit. We had fucking taken, no joke, last time I remembered, 12 shots of tequila and walked home from the bar. My feet were bleeding. And I had because I had a waxing appointment at 11 and a fucking injections at 1. And I text my waxing person at like 2 in the morning, just demon hours.
You're like, I can't come.
And I go, I have to cancel tomorrow. And they didn't respond till the next day, obviously. And they were like, okay, usually we charge 50% for day of canceling, but because this came in at 2 a.m., just they didn't. And I was like, I'll reschedule, but if someone touches me, I'll kill myself. So, and then I just tried to sleep like until 12:30, and I was like, maybe I'll be okay with like this Gatorade. No, I wasn't. I was not okay. But I got fully numb, got my lips injected, and then I went home and I was like, I'm so numb, like, but I didn't think that. I was like, this doesn't hurt at all. I must be such a professional now at getting my lips done that I'm not bothered. And then I went fully unconscious face first in my pillow until my alarm went off to go to your house for your birthday. And I woke up and I looked like fucking ass. I was like, holy shit. Because usually after you get your lips done, you should at least ice them for like, the first hour and take like an ibuprofen.
I mean, you did it once you got to my house.
I was
hours later.
I was for the peak hours of healing and self-care after this procedure, I was face first in my fucking pillows, sweating on my bed. And so I woke up and I looked like fucking shit. And it's bad when I fucking go pick up my partner because we're getting ready to drive to your house. And he gets in the car and he looks at me and he goes, huh. And I'm like, it's bad. And he goes,
look at you.
This is how you know. I go, it's bad. I know. They're really swollen. And he goes, they're going to look so good when they're not. He couldn't compliment me in the moment because it would have been inauthentic.
Oh my God. Yeah. But that's how I feel when you tell me I don't look as ugly as I am. I'm like,
you don't. You don't. You're being rude to people who are actually ugly right now by saying these things.
I'm just such a thumbhead. Ugh.
Girl, get in line, dude. I don't know what happened to my chin. It left. It was barely here to begin with, and it left.
I just need to get my lips did and then my jaw did.
Yeah. I would say October, but there's a good chance I'll spend all my money in October. So
I think I'll
November.
save up enough money by then.
No,
Get a
well,
good Kylie Jenner lip.
I told you I'll help pay for your lips. So November I can go fully balls in.
Just got these thin little bird lips.
You do. You do. So I'm not saying you don't have bird lips.
Well,
So
I have a genuine question for you,
I
actually.
have a genuine answer.
Have you ever tried horse drugs?
I mean, I know that ketamine is a horse drug, but I've
Is it?
never tried it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, ketamine is horse
Like Special
tranquilizer.
K, right? And that's
Yeah.
like the tranquilizer.
Yeah, it's horse tranquilizer. Also apparently a great treatment for depression.
See, that's what we need.
You
That's
can
maybe
go
what
to-
I need.
You can
I
go
need-
to a ketamine facility.
I'll just go
and-
outside. I live in Ogden.
Yeah.
I'll just
Maybe
find some.
Don't use theirs because you'll die. But you go to like ketamine facilities and you get like an IV essentially of ketamine with a special little nurse and you just hallucinate until you're not depressed anymore, I think. I'm not a doctor.
That sounds amazing. I mean, I'm not asking for the depression. I'm asking because ivermectin is making the rounds as a COVID treatment right now.
So I heard, and not only that, but this is breaking news that Joe Rogan got COVID. And not only did he get COVID, he talked about taking ivermectin. And
No shit.
yeah,
Well,
this is literally as of today. And I
I see
also
it,
want to
actually.
say, I do want to say with peace and love, actually, no, this is war and hate because Joe Rogan went on his fucking podcast that has more listeners than God and talked about how like young people shouldn't get the vaccine because they're healthy and what the fuck ever bullshit he was spewing from his little dumb bald head. So he doesn't take like an anti-vax stance, but he's like a middle of the road stance, which
it's
does
just as
mean
bad.
it does mean that you're 50% anti it, right?
Yeah.
But like he is always coughing up this rhetoric about being like anti big pharma essentially. Is like he's like, I
Yeah.
don't trust the vaccine. Jerk off, right? But
Yeah.
then and this is the fucking this is the best part of it. Motherfucker gets COVID and all of a sudden he's swallowing every
Yeah.
goddamn thing that's coming his way. He's taken whatever the fucking pharmaceuticals are throwing at him. He's like, not only will I take that, I'll take everything. I'll take
He's that
one of
meme
everything.
of the girl with the sausages hitting her face, but
Yeah.
it's just medication. And he has the
Literally.
money to like do it, you know?
Yeah. Like straight up, he did like nonstop rounds of literally everything, including the ivermectin, for fucking like 3 days. And I'm like, isn't
Dude.
it beautiful? Everyone's like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that serious. Don't get the vax if you don't want to. Blah, 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 blah. And then the moment it comes knocking on their door, they're like, inject me.
Yeah. And the irony is if he would have been vaccinated, he wouldn't have been that sick.
Yeah. And it's just fucking, it is just poetic. It is
Yeah.
fucking poetic.
And fucking Joe Rogan, man, he's like a human walking Reddit page. Like,
I
just,
know it.
But for those of you who don't know, ivermectin is a livestock medication generally used to treat parasites. And like Noel mentioned, a huge fad in treating COVID right now. I know we all hoped that everyone who injected bleach would die, but they lived and now they're onto the horse drugs.
Let's
And
hope
our
this
precious
one
barn
goes.
animals need those, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about it and I don't want to be a huge hypocrite. And I felt this really weighed on my mind. I used to use mane and tail shampoo, which is
Used to,
for
bitch.
horses.
I swear I still saw it in your shower.
No, I have elevated slightly, but they sell it in Sally's. Like they do sell it to human women and you can also use it on horses, but it's called mane and tail because it makes it made my brittle, shitty bleached blonde hair not snap off in the 2000s.
Okay.
So
Fair. I'm glad you let us know.
yeah. So sometimes we just got to find the common ground.
I don't want common ground.
Well, I don't know what to tell you
Okay.
because we have common ground.
Okay.
Um,
You do.
And I
Speak
will
for
say,
yourself.
to be fair,
Mhm. To be
that
fair.
ivermectin can be used in humans when treating different kinds of parasites. And if you know anyone who's ever had like roundworm or ringworm, they've probably taken a form of ivermectin. And dosage is determined by your weight. So you can imagine why there's so many overdose stories in the media, because most of the dosages are based on horses.
Yeah, they're taking fucking medicine for a 5,000-pound horse.
Yeah. And according to WebMD, we not only have cancer, but the side effects of ivermectin are headache, dizziness, muscle pain, nausea, diarrhea. And if you're being treated for river blindness,
Oh,
you may
Jesus.
experience reactions of the dying parasites for the first 4 days of treatment, including joint pain, tender or swollen lymph nodes, eye swelling, redness, pain, weakness, vision changes, itching, rash, and fever. If these persist, go to the hospital. And I know what you're thinking. What the fuck is river blindness?
Yeah.
I Googled it. It's a tropical skin disease caused by a parasitic worm transmitted by the bite of black flies, which breed in fast flowing rivers. The larvae of the parasite migrate into the eye and cause blindness. Fucking disgusting. It is incurable. The ivermectin just keeps it at bay. It kills the larvae, but you're just fucked forever. And now we have people who the only thing standing between us and the blind zombie outbreak are the fucking horses, the ivermectin, and these people are now hoarding our only chance of blind zombie. A blind zombie. It's just gonna scuttle over. They don't need light. They're coming at you in the day and the nighttime.
I don't want to leave my house.
30 days a night,
leave my house.
But with blind vampires.
I don't want to leave my house. The
Isn't
water
that disgusting?
is not that good to get worms in your eyes.
Oh my God, my butthole puckered. Oh my.
That is
talk about throwing up in a fucking
horrible.
In public today.
In the Dollar Tree.
Yeah, that's oh my God,
man, that is throwing up in the Dollar Tree energy.
Yeah. So let me wipe the tears away from my eyes. I was so grossed out.
Listen to Patreon if you want to hear that story.
Yeah. So, and like any medical fad, ivermectin had to start somewhere, and like most murderous things, it started in Australia. And in a study on medications that could help treat COVID, ivermectin was found to help things kind of in a similar tier. So yes, viruses, but viruses more like the common flu. But things like the Zika virus had no effect on. So it's not your treat all antiviral medication. It's more of the anti-parasite thing, which like livestocks or eye viruses, more things like that it would treat. Mm-hmm. But obviously when you see something have a positive effect against killing a virus, and we have COVID, they're going to start treating it. So they did find that ivermectin inhibited the NS1 protein, which is common in the like regular flu virus. Mm-hmm. But it's not really taking a strong effect against COVID. And it didn't really take hold in Australia, but it actually got a super solid footing in Africa. And that's kind of based on socioeconomic status more than than COVID hitting in Africa. It's super cheap. Even without insurance, it may only be like $10 for a dose for a person. And it's super fucking available. When we did not have any COVID vaccines, we had enough ivermectin to treat livestock. People made the connection. And doctors in Africa were more familiar with prescribing ivermectin to people just because they used it to treat everything from the common flu to head lice there, just because of its availability. And honestly, in some places, when you have corrupt government, things don't have to go through the same sorts of testing when you have a need for a medication.
Yeah. And I mean, with peace and love, like there are so many areas, like if this drug is used to be like an anti-parasite medication, mm-hmm. it working successfully in some sort of a sense in certain areas of Africa, like that checks out, where like there's parasitic infestations in the water, you know what I mean, like bot flies, like just it makes sense that like this would be a popular drug to use. And like it's in places where infrastructure
is lacking in cleanliness. It's
Yeah.
not shitting on Africa.
Not at all.
It's just the hand that people were dealt, and
Yeah.
that was the only way that they could afford treatment for some of this stuff.
Yeah, and so it makes sense that like this drug
Yep.
would not only that it would also work and like bring back results in some of these
Mhm.
areas. It just is like skewed information when you look at that and then use it for something completely unrelated.
And that's 100% what happened. Doctors were treating or prescribing the drug, not for COVID, but eventually, like the anecdotal evidence of people who happen to have COVID who are getting treated for other stuff began to kind of like blend in. Like,
Ugh,
oh, I
yeah.
was getting treated for X. I happened to have COVID at the time. I took ivermectin, and this information started to gain popularity.
Yeah.
To eventually, it leaked into the black market, and that's where the popularity really exploded. And we're not going to dive into the black market drug trade of Africa, but basically what happened was if you want a full dose of the animal version of this drug and you're selling it on the black market down there, you can get about $35. And in some places like Somalia, where poverty is 70% of the population, getting access to this drug that's cheap, available, and easy to steal, you can change your life and you can provide for your family. I mean, $34 for one dose is enough to change. It is enough to change somebody's lives, especially in these areas.
Yeah.
So what happened next is obvious, and we see it all the time, is Western nations saw what actually is desperation or corruption going on in these black markets, and they interpreted it as like the natural viable option to treating something like COVID instead of turning to the science once again. The ignorant misrepresentation of a quote unquote healthy alternative and not realizing that in some areas that's literally all they fucking have, and they think it's some sort of like natural remedy. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like instead of getting your kid the vaccination for measles, you treat them with like a lemon oil.
Yeah.
Because someone else in the world does it. And it's like, well, they don't have fucking access to this stuff.
Yeah.
And
it's also
same...
just like the best story of exploitation.
Yeah.
And like and that's the true story of it. It's so funny because the people who are taking like the ivermectin are the ones who are like, I don't want to trust big pharma, da 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 da. But it's like big pharma is who saw this drug going off in popularity on the black market and was like, there's got to be a reason for that, so let's take it.
Yeah. And it's just like bastardizing like what's really going on in other cultures. Like some people are seeing it like, oh no, they're impoverished, but they're treating it with this, but not realizing that that's all they fucking have. The reason why they're not treating it with the COVID vaccine is because they don't have access to the COVID vaccine.
Yeah.
And they think of it as some healthy remedy. Man, could you imagine the audacity of like someone trying to tie a garlic around your neck and try like being like, it'll protect you from the blind zombies that we're going to fucking have here in the next few months.
At this point, I'll do anything.
Yeah. And that's like essentially the rundown of ivermectin. This episode actually is not about ivermectin. It just merely inspired it.
Wait, are you not going to talk about that Cosmopolitan?
I am. Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I have never heard about this.
What we are really talking about is one or two medical fads throughout history. And before I found this while I was looking up medical fads, Cosmopolitan recently shared a story about a woman who lost 44 pounds on Twitter. They're like, this woman lost 44 pounds without exercise, and you'll never guess how. One of those clickbait articles.
Yeah.
The exercise was cancer, Noelle. She had cancer.
Were they saying like, we can't believe she lost 44 pounds without any exercise? And then later on, everyone was like, it's because of cancer. Or did they know
you
it was
click
cancer?
into it, and it's this woman who's like, how I lost 44 pounds without exercise. And then it was just like, oh yeah, I was losing weight, and then it turned out I had cancer.
Oh, Jesus Christ, dude. God, we are in the worst timeline.
Yeah. When it happened in 2017. I would dare say that's old enough to know better.
It
And
is
I will
old
send
enough
you
to
the
know better,
article.
but there's something about it being from 2017 that just checks out for me.
Yeah. I mean, how this woman lost 44 pounds without any exercise. And it shows the before and after photo.
And it was just cancer the whole time. Jesus.
It was
fucking
cancer the
Christ.
whole time. Despite several life-threatening setbacks, she's happier than ever at her healthiest weight yet. Is it a healthy weight if it's the cancer?
I don't think so.
You know what I mean?
I don't think so.
Okay. So anyway, not necessarily a fad, but Cosmopolitan is the ivermectin of modern women, I guess.
Yeah.
So take that with a grain of salt. But let's talk about other stuff.
Please.
Relics. And
Uh-oh.
I don't feel like we're really that far off. And I fucking dare you, Noelle, to try to navigate your way out of this after going off about how your hematite ring broke and protected you from bad thoughts of your haters.
It's true.
But relics. Also, I actually am upset with you because you didn't respond to my fever dream of a text at 2 a.m. the other day telling you that someone had hexed me.
Oh, yeah. I looked at that and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I saw
my feelings.
No, it was 2 a.m. Literally 2 a.m. We have timestamps. I'll post it, the screenshot. I'll make sure any sensitive information is edited out. But it's 2 a.m. I look at my phone and it's a video from Chelsea, and it's just a video of her dropping 2 lit matches in water and zero context. And I just put my phone down and I go, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Man, rude.
So, it was, also, yeah, of course you've been hexed. Me fucking too, dude. Welcome.
Dude, so I was supposed to have friends over before my birthday to play Star Wars for my Star Wars troop. We ended up postponing it. And then so they came over on Sunday to play Star Wars. And then we had just a great time just chit-chatting. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we chit-chatted about was how you and I want to go to Tombstone in January.
Yes.
With our partners.
Yeah.
And at one point, the Spirit Box got brought up. And for those of you who don't know the Spirit Box, it's just like a quick scanning radio frequency. It's almost like you're switching through like AM stations of.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Now and then a voice comes through and it's almost like white noise, like electromagnetic recordings. Mm-hmm. So we were talking about that and how like, what is the towing the line of like fucking with the other side too much? And they're like, don't, you know what I mean? It was just like, it was a friendly conversation. Yeah. It wasn't anything bad. But then I couldn't fucking sleep after. And I was like, man, I can't sleep because I've been fuxing with the ghosts. You know what I'm saying?
You've
like
not.
But so I was like, why can't I sleep? Ha ha ha. My mind started getting away from me where I was like, we were talking about all this ghost shit. We were talking about how you and I went to Oliver's parents' cabin and we're like, we're going to summon skinwalkers. So I'm going through TikTok, which I've never really done before. And one of them was like and I was, you just get on the front, you're like, bloop, you watch it, bloop, watch the next one. One of them was like how to tell if you've been hexed, and you get a bowl of water and you take 2 matches, you light them at the same time and you just bloop in the water. Mm-hmm. If they don't touch, you fucking good. Mm-hmm. If they touch a little bit, someone tried to hex you, didn't work. If they landed across, you've been hexed. And that's what mine did. So I sent you guys the TikTok and then I sent the video of my matches crossing. And I was like, someone fucking hex me. Nobody responds. Left on red.
Yeah, it was 2 a.m.
But it hurt my feelings.
It was 2 a.m. And of course you've been hexed. We've all been hexed.
I can't believe the hex got through.
Of course
Oliver did it miles apart between his matches.
Wow.
Nobody ever thinks bad about Oliver.
Well, I'll hex him tonight and then he could do the matches tomorrow. We'll see how that works.
Please. That actually make me feel better. But then I was like, it just made me think about this. I'm like, I need that fucking hematite ring.
Yeah, we've got to go. I'll stop tomorrow and pick you up one.
Please do, because I'm going to see you tomorrow. If you don't,
I will. Okay, you want to know something?
Please.
Something for real?
Yeah.
Fuck, Chelsea, I'm getting so got. So I was looking up like the hematite rings description, and I was wearing it on this hand because my right hand is obviously a little bit thicker. So like the ring fits a little bit better and more snug.
Right.
But then I read that you're supposed to wear it on your left hand. And so then I was like, okay, fine. I'll put it on like my middle finger on my left hand. It's like kind of big, but it's not a big deal. It like fits fine.
Yeah.
But, like, it's whatever. And then I was like, ugh, I kind of hate that it's like, because it's loose enough that I can like fuck with it constantly, and I am doing that often. And so I'm like, I'm just gonna put it back on the other hand. Like I just did like this, and I did like this, and I immediately was like, I'm unprotected. I like felt like I felt, and I immediately was like, nope, okay. So
you're getting me too. I'm like, you're breaking the fucking rules, man.
Yeah,
I didn't know that rule until you just told me it.
Yeah.
I'm like, why would you do that?
And then literally, dude, the power. I put it on this, like I literally, it feels so much better on this one. The moment it's over here, I feel naked and afraid, and I feel vulnerable.
What have we become?
I feel like the moment I do this, psychic vampires are coming for me.
Yeah.
Like
you got to get me one tomorrow. Like,
I will.
If you don't have it waiting for me, I'm going to be upset.
No, I'll get it for you.
Okay.
I'll get one for Oliver as well. Because you can't have a purchase under like $5.
That makes sense.
Credit card.
Get me one for each hand, baby.
Actually, you know what? I'll get you one, and then I'll make you a little bag of crystals.
Please do.
Okay.
Man.
I will.
Okay. We need relics.
God, I can't tell you. Like literally, I can't even tell you. I move it to the other hand. I'm terrified.
Yeah, I'm
so
scared
anyway,
for you. Don't do it. It was making me uncomfortable when you were taking it off.
I know. Welcome. Also, I haven't been taking my antidepressants and antipsychotics in 2 months, but that probably is unrelated. Anyway, what's about the relics?
Relics. Yeah, I don't know how you function without them. I don't take mine for like a day, and I feel like I'm a guitar string. I'm like all vibrational.
I mean, I did for a moment, but now I feel like a high-powered energy being. And no one to share this with my therapist. They put me on a higher dosage of something, and I just haven't picked it up. Honestly, you want to know the realness? I forgot which pharmacy I sent it to. I went to one. They said it wasn't there, and I go, well, I guess that's the universe telling me not to take them.
You know what? I've done the same thing. My doctor keeps sending my prescriptions to Salt Lake, and I transfer them down here to Ogden, and I go to pick them up, and they're like, we don't have a prescription for you. And I go, okay. And then I go home.
Yeah.
Like, what else am I going to do? I can't have my mom call and take care of it. She's not here anymore.
Yeah.
Guess I die.
You can't call into a doctor's office on your own. Yeah. No way. Someone else has got to do that.
If you're listening, for God's sakes, help me.
Don't tell her. We haven't picked up her.
she's gonna fly up here and go get her prescription. She
literally will, and I can't stand it.
I need an adult so bad.
I just hate calling the doctor's office. Peace and love before we get into the relics. My dentist office got live chat option online, and baby, now I actually go to the dentist because it's easy for me to make appointments and reschedule and do whatever. It's so fucking easy. Why can't the doctors do that?
I haven't been to the dentist in a while.
Well, let me tell you, it was bad news bears for me.
I'm not going ever.
They had nothing but bad news. Yeah. They had nothing but bad fucking news. I couldn't believe it. But I did get a water pick, and I do feel like that's helping.
I can't. Water hurts my teeth, man. They're too sensitive.
That's the problem.
That's why I leave my beer in the cupboard. Otherwise it gets too cold.
That's a deeper issue with nerves in your teeth. But, I'm not a dentist. But anyway.
And I don't care to ever meet one.
Yeah. Also, you got kind of low.
Did I?
Yeah.
Did I? I think I hit it during my flailing.
Now you're too loud.
Too loud? What about that?
Just a little bit closer. A little bit closer.
I hit myself when I was yelling about the hematite.
Down a little bit. Say it again.
Yeah.
Do a little closer. A little bit closer.
Test. Are you fucking with me? Because I moved it 50 times.
I'm not.
Whoa.
Maybe it's me. Okay.
Maybe it is you.
I'll raise the volume on me.
Okay. That's what happened on Patreon. I accidentally lowered the volume when I said you went low. So I wasn't going to say anything, but now I said it.
It may have been me the whole time. I guess we'll find out.
Fucking relics. Cheese and rice will get through this. In the 5th and 6th centuries primarily, they were used to treat illnesses of people through touch alone. In Canterbury, England specifically, there was a shrine to St. Thomas Becket, where people had traveled to and either touch or take home a relic like cloth to treat blindness, leprosy, drowning somehow, madness, and obviously the plague. And caretakers of the shrine would mix blood from St. Thomas, allegedly, and put it into a flask and distribute that to the afflicted. And some would take like an actual patronage trip to get to this altar to specifically get a flask or a piece of cloth or any other relic from the shrine to take back to their houses or to their villages or to their like monasteries to try to stave off the plague or any other ailment that they were like their people were experiencing at the time.
I can't get over the thought of someone drowning. They're like, "Blah, help!" Blah, and
they're like a relic.
They run over to the cloth, they rip a little piece, and they just go here, and they throw the little piece of cloth.
They take a flask of blood and empty it out on your head, and you're just floating face down in this water full of poop. Just blood. But you know what? Maybe half of Europe survived the plague because they had the blood water.
I doubt that, but anyway.
And this fad actually didn't go away for a long time. During Henry VIII's time, and yes, that's the one with the wives, he famously abolished Catholicism so he could annul his marriage to Catherine, so he could get with Anne Boleyn specifically. And there were huge repercussions to this, obviously, but some of them were that monks and hermits who wandered around and just acted holy kind of went away. And then it became a posh thing to have them around. So according to Mental Floss, by the 18th century, religious and political fires had finally burned out enough that the English could afford to be whimsical and romantic about spiritual things again. So hermits, wise men, people who lived in complete solitude so that they could have pure minds and souls came back into fashion. So wealthy, eccentric men would employ wizened old guys to live in fake hermitage on their estate, and they would make appearances to entertain guests. And in theory, these in vogue holy men would keep people healthy. And it paved the way for the weird and eccentric creeps to be tolerated by the wealthy and elite so much that we eventually got one of the most famous weirdos in all of history.
You watch what you say next.
Stacked up with one of history's most famous eschewed royal family.
You be kind.
Rasputin and the Romanovs.
Oh my God. He's not a weirdo. He's a great man.
He's a weirdo.
Holy healer.
So Noelle buys into this like she buys into her holy rocks. But there was actually something to Rasputin. We're not going to get too into him, but the only boy in the Romanov family, Alexei, suffered from hemophilia, which is a disease that doesn't allow the blood to clot. Mm-hmm. And rumors are that whenever he would get injured, Rasputin could heal him from afar, and sometimes even just through a telephone call. And the family attributed that to his holy properties. But what probably happened was Rasputin would not only calm Alexei down and make his heartbeat slow down, which helps with bleeding, but he would tell the doctors to leave him alone. And at that time, the doctors would give Alexei aspirin, famously a blood thinner. You don't give blood thinners to people with a bleeding disease.
Yeah. Yep.
And something else from Henry VIII's time was using mercury to treat the sexually transmitted disease of syphilis. And according to the Pharmaceutical
Mad King
Journal,
disease. Remember when we were trying to figure that out if it was chlamydia or syphilis? It was syphilis, the Mad King disease.
Yeah. Sounds like fun to have.
Do you want your brain rotted away?
Yeah, not really.
I mean, it already is.
So yeah, not by syphilis, but by the alcohol mixing with an SNRI. Woo!
We love to see it.
So in the primary stage, painless ulcers appear on the genitals, and if allowed to progress into the secondary stage, blotchy red rashes appear, usually on the palms of hands and the soles of feet. Ooh, that kind of sounds like stigmata. Do you think they attributed stigmata to syphilis?
Oh my God, I bet. Ugh. I bet, because it would make sense that, like, you know how it was always super religious people who got stigmata?
It was the fucking priests who were fucking. Or the priests who were treating people with syphilis would get it.
It makes so much sense.
I did not even put two and two together when I read that.
I didn't know that you would get fucking hand and feet rashes when you got syphilis, so news to me.
And then at this stage, hair loss also develops. And then this is followed by a latent stage during which the sufferers have neither sign nor symptom of the disease. And this stage can last for years. And during the tertiary stage of syphilis, the skin, bones, internal organs, nervous system, and cardiovascular system began to be irreversibly damaged. I did not know that syphilis had stages.
Nor did I. I
just
knew
thought it got bad.
I knew that it would eat away at your brain to the point where it literally made you fucking wackies, but
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I mean it makes sense though, it's attacking everything. It's just like can you imagine being such a dirty dick that your internal organs fail? Like wow, it's incredible, honestly.
I mean,
No
do you hate the
shame,
player? Do you hate the game?
no shame, no
Yeah.
shame. Take a penicillin and call it a day.
Well, that's the thing is like now it's like kind of less bad.
Yeah,
Well, it's just as bad.
no one is letting it fucking break your nervous system and eat your brain because
Yeah,
you just take
because
a little penicillin. But we're coming full circle because you want to know a real story? There's an acquaintance I know. Their ex had reoccurring rounds of hardcore shit like this, and it's because they didn't believe in taking any medication for it. And I'm like, oh, they're gonna get mad king disease. They're literally, that's why they're
it's
so crazy to you,
yeah,
because they're not actually treating their disease and it's eating away their fucking
we're
brain.
coming full circle where instead of just taking penicillin, people are
Yeah.
taking horse drugs.
I know, literally, dude.
It's like we have the penicillin. We have the
Time
treatment.
is a flat circle, and history repeats itself when no one pays attention.
Yeah, and we've had so now if you do get syphilis, there isn't a cure, but usually modern medicine catches it in the first stage where you get like a blister on your genitals and you go, Jesus Christ, go to the doctor. They give you penicillin, and then it usually stays at about that. But before that, people just had to get creative.
Yeah.
And they did it with mercury poisoning.
You know what? You either live long enough to become the Mad Hatter or die the Mad King.
That's so goddamn beautiful. We should put that on a shirt.
Okay. All about syphilis and mercury.
Yeah. But syphilis is everywhere in history. And this is kind of a fun historical fact. But dating all the way back to the 4th century Peru, we can see depictions of the disease. And I posted this in the notes section, but we should post it to social media too. But there are artifacts that most archaeologists believe do depict syphilis because it shows depictions of what syphilis does to the body. There's a collapsed nasal bridge and then fucked up lips.
Wait, it'll eat your nose?
Yeah.
Wow.
You get it falls off, man. Look at that
Michael
statue.
Jackson.
It shows the woman, yeah. So it shows the mother with no nose and her mouth is all weird.
Mm-hmm. And she's got holes in her
syphilis.
arms.
Yeah. She has syphilis sores. And she's holding her baby. STD.
Wow.
The ultimate STD, if you will.
Baby. Yeah.
And even from 4th century Peru all the way up to 18th century Europe, people didn't really associate syphilis with sex. And all they really knew at the time was that the nose dropped off and then they would get eaten away by the pox.
The nose dropped off. What a beautiful way to describe your fucking nose disintegrating.
Yeah.
Oh, the nose dropped off.
And I've got the pox.
Oh, his nose dropped off, did it? It's like, bro.
Yeah. And they were just like, it's fine.
Oh, the crazy thing is merkins, which are wigs for your crotch, were created to hide your sores, so you just could be fucking.
Should have had a face merkin. Maybe that's why a mustache was invented.
Ah, good fucking point. Maybe that's why porn stashes were so big in the 70s. Everyone
they had to cover their big old herp.
Ugh.
So in the 1490s, syphilis was so fucking bad in Europe that people interpreted it as the apocalypse happening.
I mean, as you should, as it kind of was a little bit, though.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, is this going to? Ooh, this is how it happens. They're going to interpret it as the apocalypse, as the end times. We're all going to start praying and not fucking, and it'll naturally go away.
Kind of. I mean, people just kept having syphilis, but
okay, yeah, they just died.
There's a man named Luca Guarico. I only looked up how to pronounce ivermectin.
You tried.
But this Luca guy, he was a mathematician and an astronomer born in 1475, and he saw something happening in the sky called the Grand Conjunction, which is essentially just two planets getting super close together. And during his time, it was Jupiter and Saturn. And Noel, now that you're super into crystals and bullshit, I know you're going to love this part.
Can't wait.
Quote, grand conjunctions were meant to predict extensive changes in the secular and religious power structures. Because the grand conjunction of 1484 took place in the sign of Scorpio, an astrological sign that stood for radical revolutionary events, as well as for epidemics and widespread death, this indicated to Luca that dramatic changes would occur in all social spheres. Syphilis.
Everyone be getting syphilis.
Yeah.
Everyone knows be dropping off.
Right. And could you imagine like having an STD ravage so bad that you thought it was the apocalypse?
I mean, we were scratching
around.
your crotch so hard that your nose falls off.
Yeah, right. That's literally what was happening. And what also blew my mind was how common it is for this to still be depicted in art from that time. So if you like literally search for syphilis in art, you see people with strange mouths, dark spots around their necks, weird noses, and pock-like marks on their faces. So like I posted this also in the notes, but looking at this picture in the notes, it just looks like a regular fucking sepia painting. Yeah. But if you look at the guy holding the stick, he has a little black spot on his throat, which was known as like a syphilis spot. If you look at the woman who's kind of standing up, she has little sores on her face.
He's like going after her and she's all fucking pocked up.
In her hands, she is holding a hanky or a rag. And a lot of times that was depicted for women who were fanning themselves off. But really what they were doing was dabbing at their syphilis sores or wiping away the tons of drool that would happen when they would take mercury tablets. And finally, in the back, who is standing at their door, but an emaciated skeleton, death waiting for them. This shit is fucking everywhere in artwork at the time, and I did not even realize it.
Wow.
I just thought people were ugly and gross.
True, though. Both statements are true.
And during desperate times, they also took horse drugs. They actually didn't.
Okay.
But it's funny to be like, oh, they were so dumb they took horse drugs. They were actually smarter and they just went to mercury poisoning.
Yeah, straight up.
And let's break down the symptoms of each, and you tell me which one you would prefer.
Okay.
So we got syphilis, sores on the genitals, rectum, or mouth.
Itchy, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and painful. A rash. And then the final stage of nerve damage, brain damage, eye damage, heart damage, death. So that's syphilis. Let's go to mercury poisoning, which is muscle weakness, metallic taste in the mouth, nausea, vomiting, lack of motor skills, inability to feel your face, hands, or other areas, changes in vision, hearing, and speech, difficulty breathing, difficulty walking, standing straight, and in both cases, death.
Mercury, 1,000%.
I would rather not feel my crotch than have it be open wounds and having my nose fall off.
That's what I'm saying. I would
it's the death of vanity.
Yeah. Truly. Metallic taste in your mouth. Okay. Suck on a penny. Nausea and vomiting. My tummy hurts almost every day. Lack of motor skills or feeling uncoordinated. I ran into my wall recently. Like the other day. I took a corner too sharp. Inability to feel in the hands, face, or other areas. I love the idea of it.
Emotionally and physically numb.
Yeah. Changes in vision, hearing, or speech. I mean, I already can't hear, so
I'm deaf, dumb, and blind.
Yeah, what do we care? Difficulty breathing. Talk to me and my dog.
Asthma.
Difficulty walking or standing straight. I have a hump in my back. I hunch. I am the hunchback of Notre Dame.
I did half a lunge on Monday, and I've been suffering since.
Yeah, like fucking hell yeah. Are you kidding me? Versus an itchy crotch with swollen sores and fucking your nose falling off. That was Australian.
Nose fall off? What was that, Cockney? I can't.
Yeah.
I can only do an Australian accent when I try to do a New Jersey accent or a Maine accent.
Speaking of videos that were left unread, when I was actually drunk before I when was that? It was drunk after Thundercat, so it was Thursday night. And we were trying to do Australian accents, and I sent the video to the group chat. Did you watch that?
No. Did I see it?
Yeah.
Maybe I was asleep.
Yeah,
I'm a hypocrite, though.
You fucking stupid idiot.
I said I've been a hypocrite.
We were trying to do that. We were trying to say like that. Oh man, I can't do it sober. I can only do it drunk. And we were trying to say the Jazz is my favorite team, and Joe Ingles shoots the pockets, but in see, it kind of came out at the end in a Australian accent.
It's like
So I could do tame. The Jazz is my favorite tame, but it goes British tame, tame, tame.
I don't feel like that's how Mia talks.
No, not how Mia talks, but like you're Australians on YouTube.
Favorite time. I'm always going Cockney. But if I try to do a New Jersey accent or like a Maine, like that guy was like, I'll feed you. It's like, I'd feed you to a fish like you a jelly bean. That's my New Jersey
That's
accent.
like weirdly like Britishy Australian. It's
Yeah,
very
but then I
weird.
sound like a fucking colonial, man.
You do sound like a colonial.
I don't.
Well,
I can't.
we'll never get into voice acting.
We could. One day, a very specific type of voice acting. If they need a shitty American to sound like a shitty British person, call me up.
Do you need someone who's so bad at accents that it's almost unrecognizable?
And if Heidi Montag is busy, then call us.
If Heidi Montag could get a fucking role, I am crushing.
I feel like Jesus has plans for you. Was that how she sounded?
Yeah, it changed 3 different. Honestly, Heidi Montag's accent and ours are almost indistinguishable. Like that, they are so. Okay, wait, hold on.
Let's see if we can.
No. Is it?
Jazz is my favorite team. I nailed that.
Jazz is my favorite time.
Yeah,
Did I nail it?
you were kind of like a little too high. It's fine. The feedback I got from Mia was that it was really good, but she also could have been hyping me up because we were clearly not sober. But anyway, where were we?
Syphilis.
Oh yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about with the fucking feeling uncoordinated and having no brain.
Yeah. So we decide mercury poisoning's better.
1,000%.
But I don't want to be okay. So that's the end of syphilis for now. And I don't want to be unfair to horse people because there are really weird medical fads in history that actually worked for people in history. So I want to end off. I want to wrap up the episode with something a little bit more complicated.
Please.
Not accents, but motherfucking brain surgery.
Okay.
And if you want to know about the first case of brain surgery in humans, you got to go back. You got to go back before cats came down from the alien outerverse to kill us all with their brain germs.
Yeah. They're shit parasites.
Yeah. Anthropologists estimate that the first cases of brain surgery can be traced all the way back to prehistoric times, roughly 12,000 years ago.
Never a good sign. But
Yeah,
by
so when
brain
we were
surgery, they
domesticating-
mean, like a rock was thrown at someone's skull and it cracked and the brain hit the ground.
Yeah.
They're like someone was performing something.
Yeah, and best
Right.
ideas yet. We invent brain surgery and then we become friends with dogs. Intelligence going on up. And then we started treating ourselves by letting asps bite us, and that's when cats came in the mix.
Yeah.
Bad choices. And scientists have actually found cave paintings depicting different procedures for drilling into the brain, and they found human skulls with marks of this trephination, which is what drilling your skull is called. And the interesting things about these skulls is that they show not only healed, but evidence that these people who are getting brain surgery as children lived all the way up to adulthood. Which is huge because even nowadays, getting brain surgery as a child, you're not always guaranteed to make it to adulthood. And in these cases, we have archaeological evidence that they were doing that and succeeding. And in fact, we still do this today. We still do trephination with like things like brain bleeding, where they will literally drill a hole into your skull and just let the swelling ooze out. And then
just release the pressure.
Yeah. And then the only difference now is that doctors don't leave a giant gaping hole of exposed brain.
Yeah.
And that's only because we're fucking cowards now, because they used to do this. And dare I say that the lobotomy is just the poor man's trephination.
I mean, this is how we had survival of the fittest, because if you get your fucking head drilled back when soap was a thing of the future, and you were just laying on a rock in a dirt cave and you didn't die, you have the strongest immune system and you should go on to reproduce.
Those people went on to survive the Black fucking plague with nothing more than a piece of scarf. And that's how they
piece
lived.
of cloth
Yeah.
and a sprig of lavender.
So I'm not going to make judgments about horse drugs, but
I
maybe
am.
it's just the poor man's trephination.
I am going to make the horse you're dumb. But peace and love, war and hate. If you're taking horse drugs and not the vaccine, and death comes a knocking at your door, this guy's not going to feel bad for you. And I'm also going to say, once again, survival of the fittest.
If you have access to a brain surgeon and you choose to let me chisel your head with like a spear and an arrow,
You deserve what's coming.
you got to go
deserve
with the
it. Yeah.
modern stuff.
You gotta go. That's honestly, the horse drugs is kind of like it's kind of the better version of the Thanos snap, right? Because it's taken out people who you might not necessarily want to be here.
It's taking up
contributing to
hospital
society.
beds.
That's the problem, though. Die at home.
Yeah.
If you don't have the vaccine, you get to die at home.
Yep.
You get to make your own ventilator out of a Dixie cup and your friend blowing into it since you think this is all
Use essential
fucking
oils.
hoax.
Eucalyptus.
Yeah. You know what you need?
Great.
You don't need a ventilator and a bed. You need an air purifier and a candle wax melt.
And doTERRA.
Straight up. Straight up. There's literally, I'll never forget, I saw footage like a few weeks ago of a woman who's literally like in like this compression machine. Like she's like hooked up. She's fucked from COVID, right?
Yeah.
And she's still denying it while she's in there. And I remember thinking, she doesn't deserve that machine and she doesn't
No.
deserve that bed. Send that bitch away. Send her away. Go put her in a blow up castle and seal her in.
That's the thing, right? Like,
If you deny it, I think you should also be denied a ventilator. Is that bad to say?
not really, because like it's you go in with a loaded gun and you start shooting people, and then you get shot in the process. Like,
Honestly, it's
you
like,
get treated first.
don't be such a little pussy. Stick to your fucking stand your ground. If you said no vaccine, that means no IV drip. That means no medicine. That means no ventilator. You said no.
Say it with your chest. Pop
yeah,
the trunk
literally.
on what you mean.
Say it with your chest, even when your chest is being compressed. That's
Right.
what I gotta say to you, my guys. Stick with it. Don't be a little hypocrite bitch. Stick with it. If you said no to the vaccine and then you caught COVID and now they got to flip you like a pancake in a ventilator, I say rip it out. I say go home and breathe it out.
We have neurosurgery because someone in a cave 12,000 years ago decided they wanted to play doctor. Who knows what you taking horse pills will do 12,000 years from now?
You know what I say? Keep it up. I say keep injecting the bleach, keep taking the horse pills, and just see how it plays out.
Now, our lawyer says don't actually do it, but practice your own autonomy. We do not get vaccinated. Do what you want.
This is all satire, but also
all satire. But also, you can't see us winking right now.
Yeah.
But
I'm not saying you should, but I'm also saying you should.
I will say stay home if you're not going to get vaccinated.
I will say, Ed, no one should leave their house ever. Especially if you're not vaccinated. Stay inside and especially stay the fuck away from me. Which reminds me, you can come see us at FanX this 16th, 17th, and 18th of September. We're going to be on panels. We've got them. You can specifically see us together on Your Girlfriend the Detective, which I believe is on Saturday night. Get the FanX app. Search our names. You can find our schedules. I'm not going to repeat them. But what I am going to repeat is that if you are unvaccinated, stay the fuck away from me or catch these fucking hands. You may catch COVID and you may catch me knocking your ass out. And that's a goddamn promise. I will probably not. I'm not going to be cosplaying. I'm not going to be on the floor because you all make me sick. Literally. So just catch me in the panels. Also follow us on everything. I'm at Noelle Fain on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch that I'm never on. Probably Pinterest. You can find me there. That's
My God,
that's-
Pinterest. I forgot. I do
I-
have a Pinterest.
I use my Pinterest frequently. It's where I keep all my memes. Didn't realize I was public. If you just search my name, it'll pop up. Anyway, don't. Those are my dark secrets. And that's Sith Lord on everything. But don't bother on Twitter because she doesn't check it. Make sure you're.
I check it.
following-
I
she
just don't know how to
doesn't-
react.
no, she doesn't know how. It's fine. Go to Hell Podcast on everything as well. Join the Facebook group, join the Discord, and most importantly, subscribe to Patreon. $1 gets you everything. We're posting cool shit. The Patreons are starting to get their little special gifts and surprises. We've got good shit cooking up for next month because it's the first day of Halloween, I'd say. Oh yeah, stickers and pins. Wild Wood Owl on Etsy. That's our girl Kelly Halloran out here making cool shit for us. The link to the Teespring website with all the merch is on the Instagram. Check that out. Everything is priced as low as possible so you can afford it. And we are going to be donating all of those profits to charity until the end of the year. And honestly, probably past that because I don't fucking care. And they deserve it more than us.
Yep.
Don't take horse tranquilizers or horse medicines. Don't take anything a horse. If you're not a horse, don't take horse medicines, or maybe do if you feel so inclined. Hail Satan.
Hail horses. The real victims in this crisis.
True.